What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great day. I wanted to talk about fuel additives today because I finally found one that I like. But I'm having trouble because I don't want this to be too, what do I want to say, like infomercially, because it's not. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. I am just really excited that I found something that I like and that works for me, mainly better than what I used before. So what I found is in this box right here, this little Opti-Lube box. This is such a cool product because you can buy it with this little box, which has a seal. Let me show you this. This is cool. A little flipper. It's a little O-ring seal in there. If you guys have been around fuel additives at all, cetane boosters and what, you'll know that the stuff just smells horrible. So this little box, right? It's tough. If you guys have toolboxes in the bed of your truck, but you don't want to keep little bottles in the bed or in the box because you don't want them to get punctured, this is just a really cheap investment with your additive. I mean, it's a tough little box, but it's not about the box. So what I like to use is in the box, and that is the Boost, Opti-Lube's Boost fuel additive. It's a cetane booster. Put that back in there because it does stink. So the thing about the additive is, why do you need it? And why did I choose to do a cetane booster rather than the other options? Opti-Lube has a lot of different options for their fuel additives. They even have competition additives, which I don't feel like playing with or even trying, because what's the point, right? It's a daily different truck. So the first main benefit you're going to get with these additives is they all have lubrication properties for your fuel system. So if you're new to these, or if you've been around them on a truck like this, or even a new one with the CP4s and all that fun loving grenade type stuff, the CP3s, even going back to your VP pumps and your P pumps, they're all pumps. They all have tight tolerances, and they all wear, right? So anytime you can add lubrication to your fuel, because your fuel is your main lubricant in your fuel system, your injectors, your pumps, just everything. It's your main lubrication for your fuel system. So that needs taken care of. So anytime you get a fuel additive with a good lubrication property, which these Opti-Lube additives do, you're going to be improving on yourself and making things last a little longer. So I have kind of been a stickler about making sure that I have something in my fuel periodically, and that's where this came from, because this truck here, given it's not terrible, but it's got 275,000 miles on a stock CP3 and stock injectors. Well, stock fuel system, other than the lift pump, I put a air dog on it. But there is something to be said about keeping them healthy. And then the reason I went with a cetane booster is because I like the idea of getting the most out of a setup that I can. This isn't a big setup. This truck runs around 5.25 to the wheels. Last summer, if you want to be particular, I pulled 528 to the wheels through 342 gears and 37-inch tires. So it's no slouch, but it's not up there with those 800 horse guys, 700 horse guys, the big horsepower guys, but I still want the most. So the way cetane works in fuel, your diesel fuel, is your cetane points, right? So when you fuel up your truck, you're going to notice at the pump that's going to be marked just like an octane level. That's basically what it is. Cetane is octane for diesel. Now, the allowed numbers for this diesel fuel is between 40 and 55 points. If you ever find 55-point fuel, consider yourself very, very lucky, because I don't know that if I've ever noticed it. And most of the time you're going to see around 45-point fuel, 50 maybe. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention, but I know that is a thing. So the thing about the Opti-Lube cetane booster is it adds 7 to 9 points to your cetane level. So let's say you fill up with 45-point fuel. Well, all of a sudden you put that bottle in and you have anywhere between 53 and 55 or 54, sorry. You're upping the cetane level, and that is important because not only do you have ignition timing in these motors, but I like to think that they have fuel timing. So the way cetane works, or the way the fuel combustion is on these motors, if you aren't familiar to the diesel engine, is so you have that cylinder, that piston coming up in the bore, and it's creating an immense, just a gnarly amount of cylinder pressure and heat. The heat is caused by the pressure, right? So when that piston gets to where it needs to be, well, should be advanced before top dead center, your fuel is injected into the cylinder, and your piston has a bowl into it. The fuel is injected into that bowl, and that pressure and that heat ignites the fuel. There's no spark. So the thing about the cetane level and why you want a higher healthy cetane level is the higher the cetane number, the quicker the fuel is going to burn. So there's just a minute delay between the time that the injector fires, the fuel hits the cylinder, and the fuel ignites in the cylinder. And the higher the cetane level, the quicker the fuel ignites in the cylinder, and the more thorough the burn is. So inadvertently more power. But you don't want to go too far, because with power comes heat. With, the hotter this fuel is, the hotter the combustion, which Opti-Lube has found out a safe level to make sure you're not going to hurt your motor, but they want you to get the best bang for your buck, I bet. So that is why I went with a cetane boosters, because I want the most I can get out of my fuel. But that's not all, because you also have to think about your winter blends. So right now we're in summer, so I can run a cetane booster and not have to worry about that particular additive not having much, if any, of a cold weather additive, an anti-gel, which they do have. And I'll show you the list in a second here. It's really cool. They have so many different options, but I'm not worried about not having an anti-gel or a winter additive, which means, the colder your diesel fuel gets, and I think, I don't know the temperature off the top of my head, but there's a temperature where the fuel starts to actually gel and get thick, and it doesn't flow. It flows, if you can think of 90 weight compared to water, the colder fuel gets, the harder it gets. It has to do with wax, right? That's all I can tell you. There's waxes in the fuel. I'm no rocket surgeon, so I don't know all the science behind that, but they do have winter blends and different blends with that really, really good winter anti-gel. And then another thing to worry about with these diesel engines is just like, if you can think, just like your engine itself. Over time, you're gonna get deposits in your oil and deposits in your crankcase, and it's inevitable, right? So, these additives make sure that you not only have good fuel, but that you clean the system, and that's why they're so important to run periodically, because you want to keep any deposits you can get out of your CP3 and injectors, or your VP pump, or any kind of fuel pump, right? Because over time, you get these deposit buildups, and let's say you decrease performance because your injectors are starting to plug, or you start finding that your CP3 is not putting out. And it's over time. It's just wear-inducing deposits. So they did a really good job of having cleaners in their fuel to take care of that. When I ordered the additive, this guy, they came with this pamphlet, right? And it has, dusty. It has all of their different fuel additives that you might be interested in. This is actually a really, really, really good, well-rounded, all-around additive. Is their XPD, and that has, well, here's their graph, right? I'll show you that graph. So this is basically what you're gonna get. You're gonna get really good lubrication, cetane and boosters. I'll say most of these, if not all of them, have a minimum cetane boost of 3 points. You're gonna see 3 points here, 3 points here. This is a center blend, and that has 5 to 7 points, 7 to 9 on the boost. Like I told you before, this is ultimate lubrication. If you're worried about lubrications in your fuel system, or your fuel system not being lubricated enough, that's the animal right there. This is they have the most lubrication properties in this one. And for you boat guys, or you ag guys, that maybe you use your tractors or combines or anything once a year or a couple times a year, they mainly sit. That's the additive for you, is your ag booster. I mean, the possibilities are endless. They have so many products that you can't go wrong. Actually, what you could do is you can get a little overwhelmed with the different options, because you can basically tailor your needs to these additives. And again, I want to make sure you guys know that I'm not doing this isn't a commercial. I'm not paid to do this. I get really excited and really happy when I find things that work for me, things that work better than what I thought I already had that work really good. I'm not going to tell you guys what I used before, but I will tell you that I thought it worked really good, and it does, right? It does. But again, I'm not going to name any names. I hope you guys maybe learned something, maybe you didn't. If you guys have any input, please let me know down in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because if you haven't noticed already, if you have been following, we're kind of taking baby steps on making this thing kind of what I've always wanted it to be. So I want to thank you guys again for watching. All the support, you guys watch the videos and like the videos and all this. It means the world to me, because it means that to me that you guys are enjoying what we're doing here. So I want to thank you again. I just can't thank you enough, and hope you stick around and watch this thing grow. I want to be able to take this places for you guys. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one.